Stavros Tousios for M4Markets. We are back. Today we're going to have a look at Kiwi and also silver. When it comes to Kiwi, I just wanted to return to its double top formation here that we looked probably a week or 10 days ago. It has actually played out fairly nicely. We failed to cross back above the base channel. That for now is assumed a false break to the downside. That a false break, much smaller scale of course, to the upside, and the return to the basic upside trend. And we have actually started to move lower down with the first support level at 61.88 impulsively. That tells us two things. We're going to get probably another leg to the downside close to the previous low of 161.13 or the 160.83, and probably continue in a sideways correction over here, because all of this structure is assumed so far, since we have these two attempts to break and didn't manage. It's considered to be consolidation. So the next leg to the downside is either here or down here, or due to the impulsive structure, because we could see something like this as well, we're going to break lower down. Now, if you see that attempt to the downside was not as impulse as this. This is more clear directional wise. It's more clear move to the downside. This one wasn't. That might be the reason we went all the way up. However, as I said before, there is also potential for this. Maybe this is like a flood itself. Okay, and from here we're gonna go higher. Do I think that? I think we ought to see some sort of correction, and that is of course supported by momentum on the RSI. This is a very strong signal. Gotta break past the 50 RSI, okay? And perhaps even we're gonna go higher. If we do something like this, then what we're going to see is also an opposite signal on the RSI. That is gonna be a hidden bearish divergence, and that would actually support the case for further downside a little bit more, since the RSI divergences are indeed signaling before the price does that there is momentum exhaustion onto one direction or to the other. I wanted to come back to silver because we've kinda talked about this leg to the upside and that it looked kinda impulsive, and we did a double top though as well, obviously in a much smaller scale that we saw for Kiwi, for example. But this double top coupled with this double RSI divergence, and double divergences one following the other, is quite the revelation, if you know what I mean. It's definitely a much stronger signal than having just one RSI divergence. Either way, we've also started moving lower down, and that move also looks impulsive. This is probably going to either have another short-term leg to the downside, okay, and give us a potential double divergence over here as well, because you will have one signal here and one between there and there. And that double divergence, of course, as we said just now, will be much stronger signal, indication towards the upside, and we'll have to use the 50 Fibonacci extension, retracement, sorry, to determine whether the bias can remain indeed upward or not. And that is going to be around 24.90, 25, let's call it, assuming the low is in. Or breaking inside that channel initially without a bounce, that is probably going to have a detrimental effect for the price of silver to the downside. If we don't get that bounce over here, because that is also possible, then it will just open the door to 61.8 and then lower down to 21. Then of course that assumes that comes also in play. The whole move to the upside looks kinda corrective now, okay, as well, because we were really aiming for this to be some sort of impulse, which would of course suggest that that correction to the downside should have ended around the 24.50, but we've come and fallen below that area, that top, and this is what makes that pattern now corrective, unless if we go into a triangle and the triangle ends above that previous high. Of course, this is one of the cases. Sorry, the other one will be that we start a corrective move to the upside. That is going to have still in the longer term bullish implications, as an actual wedge, because wedges start in corrective manner. This is a little bit further down the future though, and if we want to focus really on the short term, we'll really have to pay attention to what's happening, what's going to happen around that very strong, in my opinion, level that appears here from the descending channel.